Letter D. DA is an acronym for District Attorney. Damages are money awarded by the court to be paid by a person who has wronged another in a civil law action. Death penalty is a sentence of death for the commission of the most heinous kinds of murder. Defendant is the person against whom a claim is made. In a civil suit, the defendant is the person being sued. In a criminal case, the defendant is the person charged with committing a crime. Defense is a denial, answer, or plea disputing the correctness of the charges against a defendant. Defense attorney is a private attorney who is hired to defend a criminal suspect, or a public defender who is appointed to defend a criminal suspect. Delinquent offender is a minor who has committed an offense ordinarily punishable by criminal processes. Such offenses are usually processed through the juvenile justice system. Dependent child is a child under the age of majority, age 18, who is found by a court to have been neglected or abused by his or her parents or guardians, and then placed under the protection of the court or appropriate social welfare agency, or dependent child can mean a child who still depends on his or her parents for financial support, a child who can be claimed as a dependent on an income tax return, or a child who is eligible to receive aid to families with dependent children, AFDC. De facto is Latin, meaning in fact or actually. Something that exists in fact but not as a matter of law. De jure is Latin, meaning in law. Something that exists by operation of law. De novo is Latin, meaning anew. A trial de novo is a completely new trial. Appellate review de novo implies no deference to the trial judge's ruling. Declaratory judgment is a judge's statement about someone's rights. For example, a plaintiff may seek a declaratory judgment that a particular statute, as written, violates some constitutional right. Default judgment is a judgment awarding a plaintiff the relief sought in the complaint because the defendant has failed to appear in court or otherwise respond to the complaint. Defendant is, in a civil case, the person or organization against whom the plaintiff brings suit, or, in a criminal case, the person accused of the crime. Deposition is an oral statement made before an officer authorized by law to administer oaths. Such statements are often taken to examine potential witnesses, to obtain discovery, or to be used later in trial. See discovery. Detention is a temporary taking into custody of a suspect, either in the field or at the police station. Diminished capacity is an impaired mental condition short of insanity that is caused by intoxication, trauma, or disease and that prevents the person from having the mental state necessary to be held responsible for a crime. Discovery, the pretrial procedure in which the defense receives evidence of the defendant's involvement in the crime from the district attorney, including witness statements, police reports, scientific examination, etc. The defense attorney has a limited obligation of reciprocal discovery to the district attorney. In short, discovery is a set of procedures used to obtain disclosure of evidence before trial, usually before trial. Dismissal, judicial termination of prosecution. Dismissal with prejudice is a court action that prevents an identical lawsuit from being filed later. Dismissal without prejudice is a court action that allows the later filing. Disposition is the settlement of a criminal case, or the word used in the juvenile justice system when referring to the outcome of a juvenile court proceeding, similar to sentencing in adult court. Diversion program is a special program for handling minors or adults who are usually first offenders. It is meant to be used by police, probation officers, and juvenile courts to keep certain defendants out of further involvement with the criminal justice system. Docket is a log containing the complete history of each case in the form of brief chronological entries summarizing the court proceedings. Domestic violence is violence between members of a household, usually spouses. Drunk driving, slang, driving while intoxicated, the operation of a motor vehicle while intoxicated, under the influence of alcohol to the point of impaired control over one's conscious faculties. In California, an impaired person's blood alcohol concentration is 0.08% or above, 0.01% for a minor. Due process refers to constitutional guarantees. Minors and their parents are guaranteed due process by the U.S. Constitution. This means that you will be given advance notice of all hearings and that you have a right to present your side. Legal procedures must follow a set of rules and principles that are meant to guarantee justice and fair play. In criminal law, the constitutional guarantee that a defendant will receive a fair and impartial trial. In civil law, the legal rights of someone who confronts an adverse action threatening liberty or property.
Thanks for watching. For more content, check out contentbinger.com.